Well, in the wake of this outrageous crime and the outrage it's engendering, many now wonder if this latest cruelty could be a turning point. Well, James Creighton is Chief Operating Officer of the East-West Institute, a nonpartisan organization that works towards solutions for global issues. He's also a member of the Council on Foreign Relations. Welcome to the show. And I've got to ask, is this condemnation against IS by other Muslims a true sea change, a true game change in this whole fight against ISIL?
Well, I think it's representative of a conflict within the Islamic region. You have Sunni and Shia, you have the moderates, and then you have the more extreme. And so I do think that it is representative of a friction in the region.
Is it safe to say, or is it factual to say, that this is an unusual move by Muslims or Arab states to really condemn another Muslim group? They've come out before. Maybe the West has not reported as much. Would you agree or disagree with that statement?
No, I would agree that it's something that it clearly represents something you haven't seen as much, which is Muslims against Muslims. But it also represents a building sort of tension. You have the Japan, the brutal Japanese murders, you have the acts in Paris, and other things that are starting to galvanize the region against IS.
We have seen, of course, increased airstrikes, and of course Jordan's resolve now, and of course people in that country to take a stronger stand against ISIS or ISIL or IS now that it's being called by many people. The question here is, and this is something that has been mentioned even with the United States involvement, and that clearly is boots on the ground. The airstrikes, they say, have been somewhat successful, killing maybe 6,000 terrorists over there in that area. But can you effectively really deal with this group unless you have boots on the ground? And nobody seems to be willing to step forward and say that's what they are going to do, not even the Arab states.
I think you have to have a comprehensive strategy. So you have to go after the financing. You have to look at the root causes of how IS is able to recruit and continue to recruit. I think that you have to look at the cyber aspect of it, the air aspect of it. But I think at the end of the day that IS has shown that you cannot negotiate it with them, and that we have to have boots on the ground. Maybe not United States boots, but someone's got to go in and root them out.
In the response to the involvement of Arab countries, we're seeing Jordan involved now. Now, the United Arab Emirates says they will not get back into this fight until the U.S. Has more rescue procedures put in place for pilots. The U.S., the U.S., the U.S., the U.S. How involved must the U.S. be in this fight? And here's a question, James, I want to ask you. There are some that argue if the United States gets out of that region, perhaps that would stop a lot of this aggressiveness. Is that something you agree with?
I don't agree with that. I mean, I think the U.S. leadership is required. I think that we are the only nation with the capacity from a logistics perspective, command and control perspective, from some of the unique, for example, the air rescue, those capabilities, we're the only ones that have those capabilities.
Well, here's the question, though. What interest is it of the United States to remain involved in a conflict between Sunnis and Shias, which this is generally regarded as, which has been going on for centuries? What interest do we have outside of what I would say would be economic interest, oil? And is oil a major factor here when it comes to ISIS or IS?
Well, I think we've already seen the expansion of their fight into Paris. We've seen the arrests in Belgium. And so I think that there is a threat outside of the region, that if this continues to grow, that it comes home to us. So I think it's incumbent upon the United States to have an active role and a leadership role in supporting the moderate Islamic states as they go through this friction that we have seen.
Are you in any way feeling good about the fact that more Muslims are becoming involved in this? Do you think that will actually really turn the tide in the fight against IS?
I think it's vital. I mean, it should be their fight. But I think that the United States has to be involved in helping coalesce and lead the effort.
Of course, we're seeing now reports, at least we haven't seen any video of this, of the killing of women and children there. I mean, obviously, if something like that comes out and that outrage is seen by the public, I would assume that would even spur more action against this terror group.
I would hope so. I mean, I think that if you talk to moderate Muslims, they're peace-loving and they want to raise their families just like we do here. And anything that prevents them from doing that, I think they're willing to fight for it.
And perhaps we don't hear enough of that, but of course we've run out of time, and I just want to thank you for just giving us your insight into this, and we can only hope and pray that something is done against this terror group definitively, hopefully in the near future.
Absolutely. Thank you.
James Creighton, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
All right.